Okay, so this is week 2 of my installment of From the Teacher's Desk. I got about another 5 minutes this morning that I will ramble a little bit for. Today I want to talk editor tips a little bit. Last week I talked calendars and the importance of teaching kids how to work with those. It actually went pretty well last week. The students have their calendars all due Wednesday. We're going to talk about them in class and kind of get moving from there with the editors and editor-in-chiefs and section editors. This week I wanted to talk a little bit about editor tips. And I've done, I use email quite a bit with my students in class. It's kind of our main form of communication that we use, and I've done it for a long time. And early on with my editors, I was trying to work to get them to train them to be good leaders. And one of my first years, I remember it was just the first year, I thought, wow, it's just kids didn't really meet my expectations because it was kind of a rough group of kids. We've all had that where there's been, we've heard, okay, well, it's the group of kids this year, and that's what it was. And so I kind of chalked it off as that. And then the second year came along, and those editors didn't really meet my expectations either. And I was what it was. It was another one of those years. And it took me like 4 years of back to back of giving that same excuse that the editors weren't meeting my expectations because it was their fault. When in actuality, I realized that I wasn't doing enough to train them to be the leaders I wanted them to be. So I sat down with a notebook and I wrote down like all the things that I wanted them to learn. And so I had this like big list of stuff that I felt they needed to be good leaders. And when I looked at that big long list, it really broke down into 4 categories. And those categories were, it either dealt with tips on being a good leader, it was tips on being an effective room manager, tips on working well with others, and then the last one, which I really think is important, but tips on working well with the advisor, me. So like, I really shouldn't keep secret what to them is going to help them be successful with me if there are some tips there too. So I needed to be open and forthright coming with that. So I did all that, and I figured the best way to do it, like I can talk in class, and I do. I talk with them in class at different times, but I thought the best way for me to give them some supplemental help with their job was to send them an email tip a night. So I started off that year, and I sent them one email editor tip a night for the first 30 days of school, and I just kind of let those go out and let them be in live. And since that time, I've tweaked that. It helped. I mean, it honestly helped that first year. It was a big help. Since then, I've tweaked things a little bit. I have them reply to email tips so we can have some discussions about those things so it doesn't just float out there and I don't know whether they've actually read them or not. While these last the first 30 days, sometimes second semester, I will send them out some refresher tips once a week, second semester or something like that. This year I'm actually doing something different with the editor tips that I'm sending out to the leaders. Instead of doing it every day, I'm doing it every 2 or 3 days. I just felt that every day it was actually a lot for me to send that all out. It was a lot for them to read and reply to every day. And so what I'm trying this year is to send them a tip. We talk about it in small group, or we work on it before school or after school or something like that. I let it sink in a little bit. They either have something they need to create based on that tip, or they need to reply to that tip with a question I'm asking within. And then I'll give them a new tip 2 or 3 days later. And then, so that's obviously not going to, we're not going to be done with this the first 30 days like I normally have been, but I think it's going to be a better way for them to really get the point of the tips and have those things stick in. Some are big tips that are like, talk about leading by example and planning classes, and other tips are pretty simple that just talk about, why we celebrate special days in my classroom like we do, to my thoughts on senior skip day, as well as my thoughts on senior day, which happens in May. So anyway, those things are all there. I'm actually sending out the editor tips via email right now. If you'd like included on that list, we're I sent out number 3 last night. But if you'd like included on that list, just feel free to message me. Feel free to drop me an email. I'll add you on that list from here on out as a blind copy if you want to kind of see what they do. A lot of them are things I've just written that might be just specific to my classroom in this situation. Others of them are pretty broad that I think people can adapt and kind of use as is. And others are just nice articles or links I've found other places that I want to share with the students. The tips have evolved over time. The ones that I'll use this year are not going to be 100% the same as what I used last year. They're definitely different from when I started doing this 6 or 7 years ago or whatever it was now. But if you're interested in those, again, feel free to message me. I'll add you onto that list from here on out. And the other thing is, somebody asked me last week, and when I was talking about calendars, they asked if they could see a version of that calendar. And so down here, I'll comment on the direct link. But I have a website, thenext26.com, and so I went ahead and created a page, and what I'm going to be doing there is like any resources I talk about here each Monday, I'll go ahead and curate some links and stuff on there that hopefully help some people out, since I can't like give you things in Facebook Live. I can just kind of talk. So thenext26.com, yeah, I'll add that there. There's some other resources there you might find useful. And yeah, editor tips this week. That's kind of what it is. So I've totally exceeded my 5-minute time limit. So anyway, if you have any questions, hit me up, let me know. I hope you have a great week. I need to get a little bit more coffee. I haven't even had one of these yet today, so I need to go get some more and get on with my day. Going to be a great week here at Francis Howell North, and I hope you have a great week wherever you are. Yeah, have a great one.